Hey, I'm Dane Scott, the Gig Doctor, top-rated Fiverr seller, and my furry sidekick here.
Hi, I'm Furby.
No matter where you do business, you're going to have some clients who are fantastic and some who are trouble. That's true on Fiverr, of course, as well.
I don't like it when people get all tricky.
But usually the situation can be handled to everybody's satisfaction. That's this time coming up.
The Gig Doctor.
When we're done today, be sure to leave your comments below and tell me what you think about today's video and say hi to Furby. And especially this time, tell me what you'd like to cover, what you think would be a good topic for a future Gig Doctor, okay? At the end today, a limited time discount on a Head Slapper video package. I'm throwing in a $50 bonus besides. So big savings. Stick around till the end for that. Some great stuff in there. Okay. Bratty Buyers this time. Unless you're protected by some kind of mysterious force field that nobody else has, you are going to have Bratty Buyers from time to time. So what can you do about it? Well, actually quite a bit. Here's what we're going to do today. We're going to go through 5 different Bratty Buyer scenarios, and I'll talk about the ways that we can handle them. Well, first of all, what makes somebody bratty? Well, here's my top 5 list. Number 1 are buyers with bad people skills. They're either from another country, and their cultural ways of communication are different. So they feel more in your face than what we are used to here in the U.S. Maybe they just seem harsh, without realizing how they come across. Or just maybe they really are as insolent as they seem, and they don't mind unloading on you. That happens too. It may be that what they want isn't something reasonable. It might be that they just have an attitude that's coming through, or just a general harshness that just makes you feel like they have an attitude. Whatever the situation, what can we do with someone like that? Well, the exact opposite of what we're tempted to do, really. Rather than responding in kind with equally harsh words, we answer in kind words. There's something straight out of the Bible that's absolutely true, and considering how long ago it was written, it's amazing how long it's probably been true. A soft answer turns away wrath, no matter whether the harshness is just perceived, because maybe they're from another culture where they say things differently. They simply don't know more diplomatic ways to express themselves, or they actually do have a little bit of an attitude. The solution is always to communicate with grace and kindness to them. If that means we need to step away and collect ourselves first before we respond, we do that. But never respond harshly back to a buyer, under any circumstance. In a worst-case scenario, if they're being downright brutal and abusive, which in my experience is not very often. Maybe it's happened once or twice in 5,000 orders. I mean, it's very rare to have someone that's truly abusive to the point where we need to do this. You can contact customer service and say, look, they're being abusive. Please take a look at the screen grabs that we have here. I'll send you some text of the chat. Here's the order number. Please take a look and see if you agree. And maybe we need to just cancel this out, and hopefully without it getting into my statistics in any kind of a negative way. All right, the second bratty type is the buyers who under-communicate. They aren't intentionally being rude or neglectful, but they don't understand the importance of thorough communication, and, well, they either have to be pumped repeatedly for all the information that we need to complete the order, or they just disappear for extended periods of time and they leave you hanging. When this happens, the best we can do, really, is to politely explain to them that in order to meet their needs, we are going to need the following information, and then we hope that they'll give us what we need. If they leave us hanging for days when an order is running low, we can request a time extension from them, but of course, if they're not getting back to us, if they're not checking their messages, they're not going to respond to that either, in which case there's nothing for it but to contact customer service. The most important thing is that we don't let their lack of communication damage our statistics on Fiverr in the form of a late or a canceled order. If a buyer disappears, customer service needs to understand that this has been totally out of our hands. Provide them with the details, the screen grabs, whatever it takes to make certain that it doesn't get counted against you. The third is buyers who over-communicate, all right? I see this sometimes too. Actually, I see it pretty regularly. I'll hear from a buyer who takes 20 texts back and forth before they finally place or don't place an order. They're either high needs or they're suspicious and they need lots of reassurance before they order, or they're just chatty. They can't contain themselves. So they love all of this back and forth repartee, but the problem is they don't take into consideration that you may just have other things going on and you can't spend an hour answering question after question and message after message. And making matters worse, they aren't in front of their computers. They're at a cafe somewhere on their phone, so they're hunting and they're pecking on their screen, and each message is taking forever for them to finish typing it, while we at our computers are watching those three little dancing dots, So we have to try and be patient. There is nothing wrong in a situation like this in just saying to them, "Excuse me if I'm away for a while now because I have a project I'm working on. Please go ahead and finish up all of your comments or your questions, whatever. And I'll be back again later and I'll answer them all at once for you. Thanks." Okay, so there's an approach that you can take to that. If they're just tying up too much of your time, say, just go ahead and get all of your other questions out here and we'll get them all taken care of. Meanwhile, I've got a project I need to get back to. Number 4, Bratty Buyer. These are the ones with high expectations. And ironically, it seems like the lower the price point you work at, the more of these you get. You'd think it'd be the opposite, wouldn't you? But the same people who want work for $5 are also more particular than the ones you work for $500. But regardless of whether the budget is high or low, the solution is the same in all cases. We do our very best to satisfy their needs. One thing that can soften them up is by actually acknowledging their needs, the ones they're expressing, and assuring them, yes, you're going to meet them. Once they see that you're on their side, they'll actually be more likely to ease up and loosen their grip a little bit. In the end, though, there's this. Happy people are going to be made happy more easily. Unhappy people take more comforting. But if we are able to turn that frown upside down for them, we will sometimes have actually made an even more loyal customer than the one who was happy to start with, because the unhappy person feels such relief at having someone who takes care of them and meets their needs. And now here's Bratty Buyer type number 5. This is a more interesting category. It's what I'd call the falsely sweet high needs buyers. These are the ones that seem like they're all goodness and light. They communicate clearly. They're polite. When you get the order, you can see by their lengthy description, though, that what they want is going to probably require a lot of attention on your part. They have high expectations. They usually conclude their job description by expressing confidence. They're sure that you'll do a great job. When I see these orders coming, I cringe a little because my experience is that ultimately these can be the brattiest buyers of all. So I redouble my efforts to do a great job for them. And then, I deliver and they come back with profuse praise for the job I did, followed by an extensive list of things that they'd like done differently. And so on and on it goes. Ultimately, the solution is to have really clear parameters in our gig description and in the wording of our requirements that leave absolutely no doubt about how much leeway we're going to give them when it comes to revisions, what we're willing to do, what we're not willing to do, and then we have to try and stick to that as much as possible. But look out, because these falsely sweet, high needs buyers are also the ones that are most likely to make trouble for you when you start standing your ground on revisions. In the end, a little compromise may be necessary, but a point has to be reached where you say, "Oh, here's a final bonus run at it for you. If we need to go further, we can start a new order." That usually will take care of it. But there's one other approach, too, and you can take this actually closer to the start of the order process. If you get an order from someone and they go on and on, they just use a dozen adjectives to describe the style they want and all the things that they want, offer them a monitored session so that they can direct the read. This is if you're doing voiceover or on-camera stuff, via Zoom or Skype, at an extra cost. Often that will be enough to cause them to back off when they realize that there actually is going to be additional money involved if they start getting too picky. And instead, they'll just express their confidence once again in your abilities. In that case, you've sort of called their bluff. and so they're going to be less likely to request multiple revisions. So there are 5 different bratty buyers and some ways that you can help turn them into better buyers, or at least have a better experience with them. As you can tell, the overarching theme here is that buyers are just people, too, like us, with both good and bad points. And in most situations, they will respond in the same ways we would. If we are hard with them, they'll be hard, and that quickly escalates. If we're more yielding, they'll come around more, and they'll be easier to work with in almost every case. Another thing I've learned is that we're never done learning or innovating, and some of the best learning comes by doing. Necessity is the mother of invention, and that's what eventually brought me to the point of realizing some things that, well, once they occurred to me, I was like, oh! I couldn't believe that it had taken me so long to realize what was possible. In my case, there are things that have actually boosted my Fiverr sales a lot. My income has gone up because of these things that I've come up with or discovered by literally thousands of dollars a year. There are things that I doubt very many people are doing, so that actually gives me a big advantage. I decided to make some videos about the 4 best ones, and they became, appropriately enough, the head slapper videos. I've got 4 of them on sale right now for $149.95, and I can totally guarantee they will earn you more than they cost. And right now I'm adding a 5th one for free. It's Head Slapper 5, Knowing the Unknowable on Fiverr. And I'll put a link down below in the show comments for that. Grab it while you can still get that special discount on the package and the $50 bonus Head Slapper. Be sure to hit the bell and subscribe and leave me a comment or a question about today's show or a subject that you'd like me to cover, and I'll make sure that we get that covered for you. See you the next time around. Watch for another couple good episodes suggested here in the closing theme, and I'll catch you next time.
Hello.
Hello?
Hello, I think.
Hello, cutie pie.
Until I heard the voice, I'd never done a crazy thing in my whole life.
Goodbye.